in this quick beginner-friendly guide, I will show you precisely how to use the new OpenAI agents to build your first AI agent. I've already spent hours testing the documentation and reading the framework, so you can skip straight to building your agents and save all of this time. I will walk you through building 3 simple yet impressive AI agents that clearly demonstrate the power of new OpenAI agents. If you're new to this channel, my name is Jacob. I'm the founder of Brainly, where I've been building these custom AI agents and SaaS solutions for over a year now. On this channel, I share practical strategies from these real-world experiences so you can just take them and apply them to your own work. Okay, so first of all, I will explain 5 key concepts of the AI Agents SDK, so you will clearly understand how to use it. It will be agents, tools, handoffs, guardrails, and tracing. And we will start with explaining the agents and tools. So first of all, let's actually import everything. You will see everything here on the right side executing. Let's load the environment variables. Okay, so first of all, after importing all these necessary things, now we will need to define the tools. So first section is just defining the tools and why OpenAI Agents SDK is so powerful. They have actually hosted tools. So you can custom code some tools, but here we will use the example of hosted tools by them. So let's define the file search tool. And with that, we actually can go to OpenAI platform, go to storage, create your vector store, and here you've got the ID of your vector store. Why is super powerful? I uploaded a PDF here, as you can see, and now I can use it as a rack. So it's crazy simple. The AI Agents SDK is built on top of their new responses API. So under the hood, it's actually crazy simple to build rack now, because you just have to pass the vector store ID, which is stored here, which we fetch from environment file, and now I can perform a rack on it, so I can ask questions about my documents. So it's crazy simple. And second tool that we're gonna define right now is actually web search tool, which is also natively supported by OpenAI Agents SDK. Our agents will be able to search the web natively. Super simple, super easy. So first of all, we will create the rack agent here, and it has a few properties. First of all, its name, so name your agent whatever you want. Head of description is basically a description that will later serve us for our delegation agent. So think about it as the description of your employee's role. And based on this description, this agent will be assigned some tasks. Instructions is basically what this agent is supposed to do. And tools is an array of tools. And we can pass the tools to an agent here. And here we've got the document file and search tool, which we actually defined here. So now let's define this agent. And now we have the search agent, which basically follows the same structure. The only difference is here we pass the web search tool, which we defined earlier here. So this agent will be used for searching the web, and this agent will be to searching through my company documents. Now, here we've got the delegation agent. And as you can see, the delegation agent is a bit different because it doesn't have the handoff description and it doesn't have the tools. The delegation agent is the first agent in our workflow, so the delegation agent will decide to either give tasks to rack agent or search agent that we defined before. Okay, so right now let's actually test it with the document query. So first of all, we want to test the rack agent that we defined here. So we provided with a query from the document you're provided with, tell me what is Brainly. And as I showed you before, the rack agent is equipped with document about Brainly. It is pretty straightforward here, like from the document you're provided with, but just for this demo, it's like just to showcase you the possibilities. And then we've got the result, and await runner run is basically from the OpenAI Agents SDK to run the agent. So we are running the delegation agent with the document query. So this is the parameters that we pass to the agent. So So these are the two parameters that we are using. Basically, we are telling, okay, delegation agent, here's your query, meaning we are asking the delegation agent from the document you are provided with, tell me what is Brainly. And after running this, we can print the result. And you can see Brainly is an innovative company focused on creating cutting-edge AI solutions, delivering artificial blah 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 blah, artificial intelligence, blah blah blah. So basically, the answer is relevant, and we made the rack here. So now let's actually investigate it. So if we go to OpenAI platform again, and we go to traces, we can see here that this trace is actually what we just did. We've got the delegation agent and Brainly rack agent, which are directly from here, as you can see the names, Brainly rack agent and the delegation agent. It's actually made super easy now to evaluate the output of these LLMs, which is kind of pain point for AI developers. And previously I used Langfuse for that, and still I think Langfuse is a great product. It has a lot of features, but yeah, I mean OpenAI is becoming more like this entire ecosystem environment for the developers. So you can see a lot of things here, like the instructions to the agent that are given, the input. We can see the question passed to the rack tool. We can see the handoff, meaning we passed this to the rack agent. We can see the API response, what's happening under the hood here. So we've got everything to trace. So yeah, it's really great actually. So it's actually really cool. And if we go to logs on the left, you can see our input. See, you are Brainly rack agent, blah blah blah, and Brainly is innovative company. We've got the logs here. So we've got everything in one place right now, which is super crazy. Okay, but let's say we've got this delegation agent, right? And it can decide whether to go to the rack agent or go to the web search agent. So what if we test it with different query? And the query will be, what are the latest development in AI in 2025? The agent should be smart enough to know to delegate to the web search agent to search the internet and then return the response with the latest AI developments in 2025. So let's run the agent now, and again we pass the delegation agent, but this time we pass web search query. So notice that we are using the same agent. The delegation agent is always the beginning of our workflow, and then we decide to which agent do we want to actually execute this task. So let's print the results. And as you can see, we've got the links, we've got the web search as of March 2025. And today, as I'm recording this video, is actually March. It's actually 19th March. The field of artificial intelligence, integration of AI, robotics, AI in cyber security. So yeah, as you can see, there's OpenAI is mentioning Gemini or Gemini, whatever you want to call it. That's actually pretty cool. But yeah, we've got the links. As you can see, we've got the web search results. So the agents are properly working. So as of now, you should understand what AI agents are here in the framework, what are the tools, and what are the handoffs. And hell, you even now know a bit about tracing. So yeah, but we're gonna go into the tracing more in depth now when I will explain the guardrails, which is super cool feature for production ready agents. Super important feature. So let's hop into guardrails. Okay, so right now I'm in the guardrails and tracking, and we're gonna explore these concepts in more depth. I already imported everything, loaded the environment variables. So basically we are here doing the same thing, meaning we are defining the tools, the same tools, document file search as we did before, and web search as we did before. Now we've got agents, and you can see these are the same agents. So let's just go ahead and define them. And now it's step 3, which is something new, implementing guardrails. Let me explain what these guardrails actually are. So in production ready AI agents, we want to limit the results and overuse of our agents. Let's imagine a scenario that our agent S here is a business agent. We want this agent to only answer business related queries. But what if someone would ask this agent about, I don't know, but what if some person would ask a question about pancakes, for example, how to make pancakes? The previous agents would actually answer this question because the brain of the agent, as I like to explain it, is just the LM. If we were to go to ChatGPT and ask it about the business inquiry on the pancake recipe, we will get answer for both. But here we're building agents, and agents needs to be very targeted at achieving one goal. They need to be concrete, they need to specialize in one field. That's when they work the best. And this is where the guardrails are coming in to save us, guys. So let's look at the code. We have some class here, and we're defining two properties of this class, which is business related, which is boolean, and reasoning, which is string. So let's define this class, and this class will serve as a structure for our guardrail agent. We already know how to define agents. We've got the name, we've got the instructions, but now we've got the new parameter, which is output type. So this agent will actually ensure that the output of this agent is this. It will output is business related and reasoning behind if this query is business related. Because if you were to look at the instructions, it's to determine if the user's query is business related and appropriate to answer. And then we define what is business related for the LLM. And as outlined in the documentation, we run here the guardrail agent with the context to get the final output. So as you can see, we've got the result final output S business query classification, which is the class. So we have the structured outputs, which is super important when working with the LLMs. And then we then just check if final output is business related or no. So here, if the query is not business related, we will actually have the tripwire triggered set to true, which basically means the query is not business related and the AI is not gonna answer that. And otherwise, it's not triggering the tripwire, meaning the business question is business related, and we've got the tripwire trigger set to false, and output info equals final output. And here we're coming to delegation agent. I hope you still follow because I know it can be a little complex, but I will be providing you with the entire repo and with the links to documentation so you can explore it in more depth if you need to, but I will try to explain to you as simple as possible. So now we go to delegation agent. Again, we define the delegation agent, same as before, same name, same instructions, same handoffs, but here we've got new parameter, which is input guardrail. So basically what we're telling here is we're telling the delegation agent to invoke the guardrail agent first to evaluate if the question should be answered or not. And if it should be answered, it will be then delegated to the appropriate agent. If not, it won't be answered and the workflow is finished. And I will show you that in a second. We can have two approaches here. We can also manually specify the guardrail agent at the beginning, which has the benefit that we then save one more API call, meaning saving costs for our clients or for ourselves. But according to documentation, we have this input guardrails parameter. So I wanted to show you this one. I've also built it the second way, but I just wanted to show you that we have this input guardrails parameter because in multi-agentic systems, we can actually use it in different parts. So this parameter can be really useful. Okay, so we defined the delegation agent and now let's go to the execution. And as I told you, we will go more in depth into tracing here. So basically you can do a lot of things with the tracing, but right now we are actually creating a config here for our tracing, and we create a workflow name. And why it's super important, because we can basically create a random ID, for example, here, and have different ID for each workflow, or even we can generate the workflow name by LLM. So then in tracing, we can easily find the right execution, debug it, and see what's going on, why is it buggy, what's not working, what's working, evaluate the outputs, super important. So we define the workflow name to Brainly Business Assistant with guardrails. And now we're going to execution. Okay, so now that we've defined the config, we've got the command query. So now when we actually run the agent, it should be smart enough to delegate the task to appropriate agent, which should be the rack agent, and then return the response, but with the guardrails. So first of all, it will check if the query is business related, then it will delegate the task, and then the rack agent will return the response. So as you can see, now that we printed response, we've got the Brainly offer several services. And now, as you can see, it's custom built AI applications, ASS MVPs, analytics tools, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it's the knowledge from the knowledge base. So we've got the rack agent executed. And let me actually go to traces for a moment here. Let me refresh it. So here's our trace, and we can see now that the naming is not agent workflow as here. Now we've got the Brainly Business Assistant with guardrails, which remember we named it here in workflow name. So again, super cool feature. And we've got the handoffs here, one handoffs, Brainly delegation agent, Brainly guardrail agent, and Brainly rack agent, exactly as we want it to happen. So let's go back for a moment. Okay, so let's also test it with a web query. So right now we define the web query. We define the config, which basically is the same name as here. So let's actually change it. Let's actually do it so you can see the web search configuration. Let's go. So let's actually rename it and let it run, and let's see what will happen right now. So again, this should go through guardrail agent to evaluate that the latest business intelligence trends in 2024 are actually business related questions. So it should accept this, and then we print the results. It should perform the web search, and here we go. We've got the key trends from the web search with links, with sources, everything working beautifully, guys. Let's evaluate it. Let's go back. And we've got the Brainly delegation. See, we've got the web search configuration, new name, new color apparently. Okay, but right now I told you that we should be able to eliminate with these guardrails general questions like what's the recipe for chocolate chip cookies? It's not really business related question, right? I mean, depends if you're trying to sell cookies, but it shouldn't be classified. I wouldn't classify it. Let's see what LLM thinks about it. But let's define this non-business query. Let's define the workflow as a non-business workflow. Okay, so now you may think why now I have this try and accept, because if you were to run it like this and the guardrails would come in, we would basically get an exception. So here we candle it and we've got the try and we've got the pass here, but we can actually print here something. Uh, Guardrail triggered, just so we know. And let's actually execute this code. So what we're doing here is basically running the agent same as we did before, just with handling the exception, because normally it would throw the exception if the guardrail is triggered. We've got printed guardrail triggered, which means what's the recipe for chocolate chip cookies isn't a business related question. So now we go back to traces. As you can see, there's two more here, but it was me just playing with these exceptions here. But what we want to pay attention to is this one right now executed just seconds before. It's non-business workflow. As you can see, we go in and we see the delegation agent actually threw an error, and guardrail agent is triggered So we've got the response is business related. False. Reasoning, the query is about a recipe which falls under a personal culinary interest rather than any business or corporate context. And see that this response follows the exact structure we define here. So everything is working fine. So to summarize, guys, you should know now about the agents, about the tools, about handoffs, guardrails, and tracing. Now the OpenAI seems like it's becoming the ecosystem, the entire ecosystem, the entire environment for the developers to build agents with, which is pretty cool. It has its disadvantages, but the framework is actually pretty good. Super simple to start with. It has low-level abstractions, meaning if you know basics about the responses API, you can easily work with it. You can easily customize it, which is super important. You've got the tracing, you've got the guardrails, which is super important for production ready systems. So yeah, I think it's actually quite a good framework to build agents. This framework is also open source, so you can fork it and do whatever you want with it. So yeah, super simple framework. You will be provided with this entire code base just went through, along with the links to documentation here, so you can read more if you wish to. And if at this point you have no idea what these agents actually are, it's your first video about AI agents, watch this video where I explain the AI agents in 5 minutes in such a simple way. I wish someone explained them to me when I was starting out.